Here are 10 things you can stop worrying about when it comes to your retinol. Well, hey guys, welcome back. In today's video, I am going to be covering 10 common myths, misconceptions, or just general queries that I often see across my videos on retinol in the comments section. If you're not familiar, retinol is just kind of an umbrella term for skincare ingredients or medications that are related to vitamin A and are applied to the skin for a variety of reasons, whether that be acne, hyperpigmentation, or for their anti-aging benefits and smoothing out wrinkles and fine lines. Number one is stop worrying about the percentage of your retinol, whether it be a cosmetic retinol or a prescription retinol. That's not to say that percentage is irrelevant, but there is this common misconception that if you are using a product at a certain percentage and you're tolerating it, then that must mean you need to go up in strength in order to get maximal benefit. And that is not necessarily true. The percentage does not necessarily tell you anything about how well it's working for you. Higher percentages, sure, they can yield results faster, but oftentimes they are accompanied by an increase in irritation. When we're talking about hyperpigmentation, for example, anything that increases irritation can actually worsen the hyperpigmentation and take you several steps back in your journey to getting results from your retinol. That's not to say that some people will not benefit from graduating up in percentage strength. For example, people with acne, sometimes they need to go up to a higher percentage strength of, say, tretinoin to get better control. Maybe their acne lesions are a lot thicker and they need a higher percentage strength to really penetrate. But that's not something that anyone on the internet, myself included, is going to be able to predict for you, whether or not you need to go up in percentage strength. When we're talking about using these ingredients for the benefits of anti-aging, there really is no need to go up in strength. When it comes to improving fine lines and wrinkles, higher percentages of retinol or prescription tretinoin, they don't necessarily yield any better results in the long run. The results are the same. Number two, you can stop worrying about retinol, whether it be prescription or cosmetic, causing hair growth. This is a common misconception, probably related to the fact that tretinoin has been shown to be very helpful in improving responsiveness of the hair follicles to the hair loss medication minoxidil. So I have a lot of videos all about minoxidil. By the way, if you are experiencing hair loss and you want to learn more about that, check out my hair care playlist. It's thought that tretinoin either may enhance penetration of minoxidil into the follicle or that it might actually make the follicle more responsive to minoxidil, so getting people better results. Now, there is a case report of a young man who noted improvement in beard growth following use of topical tretinoin for his acne. However, that may have been related to the fact that acne is pretty inflammatory and that inflammation can impact hair growth. When you get good control of the acne, it's possible that you see an improvement in beard growth. So it may not be related to tretinoin, but all that to say, topical retinols, they're not shown to lead to hair growth. Number three, you can stop worrying about retinol causing skin thinning. This is a common misconception. Quite the opposite. Retinol actually improves the thickness of the skin long term by improving the density of the deeper layers of the skin, improving collagen production, as well as glycosaminoglycan production, which ultimately is going to improve the water binding capacity. Retinol works to improve cell turnover and to improve maturation of the skin cells. And the end result of that is that the top, most mature layer of the skin gets compact, it gets smooth. In the beginning, people experience a lot of dryness and irritation, but with long-term consistent use, it actually makes the skin stronger. When you talk about something causing skin thinning, you're talking about atrophy. Topical retinoids do not cause atrophy. What can cause skin atrophy and skin thinning is long-term inappropriate use of topical steroid medications. So much so that this can lead to the formation of stretch marks. Not only does retinol not cause atrophy of the skin, it's actually a treatment for certain skin atrophies. Number four, you do not need to worry about washing your retinol off in the morning. People wash their face in the morning as a personal choice. It may be related to, how oily you are. You may like to wash your face in the morning, but do not wash your face in the morning solely because you are under the impression that you need to wash your retinol off from the night before. If anything, when you first start a retinol, whether it be cosmetic or prescription, it's normal to experience dryness, irritation, peeling, and increased skin sensitivity. In those situations, when you're experiencing those side effects, I frequently suggest people to back down on the frequency of cleansing to just once a day, because anytime you cleanse, you're going to further disrupt the skin barrier. So going out of your way way to wash your face in the morning thinking that you need to wash off that retinol, not only is it going to further disrupt the skin barrier and potentially aggravate the dryness and irritation, it's simply not needed. The way retinol works is it gets into the skin and it actually binds to receptors in the skin cells and influences gene expression. The exception here is that in the beginning, some people are advised by their dermatologist to do more of a short contact therapy approach where they apply the retinoid, in the case of prescription tretinoin, for example, and sometimes they may just leave it on for an hour and then wash it off and gradually increase the duration of time that they leave the retinol on before washing it off until at some point, maybe they're leaving it on overnight and then washing it off in the morning. The idea there is that in the beginning, that may help in reducing dryness and irritation, although with the caveat that anytime you wash your face, it can add to the risk of dryness and irritation. So it's a delicate balance, but all that to say, don't go out of your way feeling as though you must wash it off the following day. And that goes with pretty much any skincare ingredient that you put on the face at night. You don't need to actively seek out washing it off the following morning. Myth number 5 is that topical retinol, whether it be prescription or cosmetic, will cause dry eye disease. Now, I have a whole video detailing this at length, but this is a myth. Topical retinol or prescription retinoids do not cause dry eye disease. Dry eye disease is very, very common, actually. In your eye, you have these little glands called meibomian glands that are actually related. They're a type of sebaceous oil gland, just like the oil glands in your skin that make your skin oily and cause acne. You have similar glands in your eyes. And people are worried that applying topical retinol is going to impair those and make you prone to dry eyes. And that's not true at all, because retinol, whether it be cosmetic or prescription, does not shrink the oil gland. There's no evidence that prescription or cosmetic retinol leads to dry eye disease. In fact, quite the opposite. There are several dry eye disease conditions for which retinol has been used to treat those dry eye diseases. So quite the opposite. Now, that being said, I do caution the use of retinol, whether it be cosmetic or prescription, around the eyes because certain formulations are pretty strong. The eyelid skin is very delicate. If it got into your eyes, that definitely could cause what's called a keratitis, just a lot of irritation, make your eyes red. So be careful not to get it in your eye. And if you're seeking the benefits of retinol for improving the signs of aging around the eyes, I often do suggest people lean into more of an eye cream with retinol because they tend to be formulated in such a way to be well tolerated on that delicate eyelid skin. And I think it's a safer option in general. That's not to say that the prescription stuff can't be used around the eyes. In fact, many people do use it there, but it's just a cautionary note for the general public that using the prescription stuff around the eyes for a lot of people can be too irritating. Topical retinol, whether it be cosmetic or prescription, does not cause dry eye disease. Misconception number 6 is that retinol is not safe in breastfeeding. Quite the opposite. Retinol, whether it be cosmetic or prescription, is totally safe to use while you are breastfeeding. We have reservations about prescribing topical retinoids or recommending over-the-counter retinols to women who are pregnant. If you're not familiar, the medication isotretinoin, aka Accutane, it's an oral retinoid that you take by mouth. Completely contraindicated in pregnancy, will cause severe birth defects. But in this video, we're talking about putting retinol on the skin, not ingesting it. And while it's not clear that applying retinol, whether it be cosmetic or prescription, to the skin causes any kind of fetal harm or adverse effects in pregnancy, out of an abundance of caution, we don't recommend people use retinol, cosmetic or prescription, during pregnancy. But applying retinol to the skin is more than safe in breastfeeding. It's not going to be excreted into the breast milk to any appreciable degree. It's totally safe. As a side note, recently I did a whole video about retinol during pregnancy and breastfeeding where I cover more of the nitty-gritty behind the studies that we have. So if you want to learn more about that, definitely check that video out. It's in my retinol playlist. Number 7 is you do not have to worry about stopping your retinol before a sunny vacation or in the summer months. Now, you've probably heard that retinol, whether it be prescription or cosmetic, can make your skin more sensitive to the sun. When we think about photosensitivity, we think about either an ingredient that makes the patient very sensitive to the sun in a way that they get a very robust sunburn, or a photoallergic reaction where they are allergic to the ingredient when it is on the skin in combination with sun exposure. Topical retinols do not actually change what's called the minimal erythematous dose of your skin. And that's the dosage of UV exposure that is necessary to begin to visibly damage the skin in the form of barely perceptible redness. Topical retinols don't actually change that. Now, you can feel more sensitive in the sun. Having sensitive skin in the sun is actually quite different. So it's not uncommon for people who are using retinol, whether it be prescription or cosmetic, to have an increase in tingling, burning sensation, redness, irritation, and they feel that even more so when they go out in the sun. All that to say, you do not need to worry about stopping retinol prior to a sunny vacation. It's not going to increase your risk of a sunburn. Of course, you need to be wearing sun protective clothing, sunscreen, anytime you're going to be spending time outdoors in the sun for sure, regardless of retinol, but it's not going to increase your risk of a burn. With long-term consistent use of retinol, whether it be prescription or cosmetic, it actually has the ability to help your skin not be as vulnerable to sun damage when used in conjunction with sun protection. That's key. And the reason for this is that prescription retinoids, at least, are established to actually put the brakes on the upregulation of certain enzymes that get activated when you go out in the sun. And those enzymes are what are responsible for chewing up your collagen and ultimately aging the skin. Prescription retinols can actually put the brakes on that sun-induced upregulation of those collagen destructive enzymes. Number 8, you do not need to worry about retinol causing premature shortening of telomeres and aging your skin. This is a myth, a misconception, a misunderstanding. So cells in a dish, like in a lab setting, they have a limited number of proliferations, divisions that they can undergo. And a reflection of that is that their telomeres, little caps on the end of the DNA, they get shorter. However, your skin is much more complex than that. Down in the bottom layer of the epidermis, the top part of your skin, you have a population of cells known as stem cells. And the principle of self-renewal is characteristic of stem cells. So that underscores the fact that your skin regenerates. Retinol, whether it be prescription or cosmetic, has no impact on that stem cell population's ability to renew the epidermis. The common misconception around this is that because retinol hastens skin cell turnover, it's going to ultimately lead to elimination and depletion of the epidermis, and that is not how it works. If that were the case, then anything that brushed up against the skin, any form of exfoliating, including just simply bathing, would rapidly age your skin. So that's not true. That's not how the skin biology actually works in reality. Cells in a dish are a much different scenario in comparison to the complete organ system of your skin. Number 9, you do not need to worry that your skin will become resistant to retinol, whether it be cosmetic or prescription. When we talk about the skin developing resistance, by and large, what we're talking about is concern related to antimicrobials, that the bacteria, the microorganisms that live on your skin may mount resistance to certain things that may kill them. And that is a problem for sure. It's why we try and limit the usage and the duration of usage of antimicrobials, like antibacterials that are prescribed for acne. We try and limit their use to no more than 3 months. But when it comes to retinol, this is not an issue. It's safe to use retinol long-term indefinitely, provided you tolerate it. There are no long-term risks of using it, although it is advised to stop should you become pregnant. But all that to say, the skin does not develop resistance. It will continue to work. Now, for many people, retinol, like prescription retinol, for example, alone is not always enough to control a skin condition like acne. In the beginning for you, you may find that your acne clears with a prescription retinol, like adapalene, which is actually over the counter now. You may find that that's great and it works, but then one day you start breaking out again. And there are a lot of reasons why this might be, but one reason it's not is retinol resistance. Some people, their hormones change up, they have more of a hormonal influence. And simply the case is that the retinol alone is no longer enough to control the acne. It's not because the retinol stopped working, it's because the acne changed. And what it needs to be under control is different. Common scenarios where this might occur are, say for example, you start a new form of birth control or you stop a form of birth control that was previously helping to control the oiliness of your skin. You no longer have that on board. And you thought maybe all of your acne was under control under the guise of your retinol. When you stop that birth control pill and you're now alleviating that suppression of the oil production, and that could be why you're breaking out. People under a lot more stress. Stress can contribute to the hormonal component of acne, and prescription retinols don't address that hormonal component. So there are a lot of things that drive acne pathogenesis, and what controls your acne at one point in your life may not be sufficient in the future. And then number 10, last but not least, is you don't have to worry about putting your retinol on in the dark. Now, many types of retinol, cosmetic and prescription, are photolabile, meaning upon exposure to light, they degrade. That is part of the reason why it has always been recommended to apply retinol at night before bed. But the part of the light that is what leads to degradation of some, not all, retinols is actually UVA. Most of that is coming from the sun. So it's an issue when you're outside during the day, during daylight hours, and it's an issue when you're indoors close to a window, because UVA comes through window glass. The amount of light exposure that you get in the evening time from indoor lighting is negligible, and it's not likely an issue that's going to degrade your retinol on your skin. So it's fine to put your retinol on in your bathroom with the lights on. You don't need to jump in bed and turn out all the lights. The retinol is not that weak. At least in the case of the prescription stuff, it's not that weak. It's hard to say with cosmetics, because in theory, the cosmetic retinols should be stabilized. Good formulators do go above and beyond to stabilize their retinol. But, sometimes you get what you pay for. If it sounds too good to be true with the cosmetic retinols, you may question the stability, in which case I suppose it could be an issue. But I have no way of predicting what retinol is good or not. That's why I always suggest going with larger brands that have more R&D. All right, you guys, so those are the 10 myths, misconceptions, just common questions and concerns that I see a lot. Now, on the end slate, I'm going to link yesterday's video where we talked all about this very topic of retinol's photostability. So definitely check that out next if you want a deep dive on light and retinol. We go into all of it there. But if you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and as always, don't forget, sunscreen and subscribe. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye.